You want to talk some about the
Mill.
about the mill?
Yeah, that's what you're here for.
Sure. Well, I'm going to talk to you about whatever you want to talk about.
Be sure to tell him about your job. You know, the job that you were telling me that was so heavy on you.
Oh,
doing
well,
the-
I did.
The bobbin, was it the bobbins and
Oh,
those
yeah,
big?
I
be
used to
sure
have to
tell
push
him.
crates that's as long as this sofa, that wide.
Whew.
And they'd just be piled up like this. And they were on the top shelf of the frames.
Mm-hmm.
And you went along, you had to take them down, put them in that, and you'd have that thing piled completely up. And of course I ran a winder to start with until I got my hand tore up in one. So then they moved me over to weighing machines, and I'd have those big things of yarn to have to push on the scales and off the scales and then push them to the back part of the mill. And they would weigh over 500 pounds at times, and I weighed 85. And I couldn't push them front without having to turn around and push them with my back. That's the reason I guess my back's all to pieces now. But it was hard work. All of it. All the work in the mill was hard work. There wasn't no easy work in there.
So when did you start working at the mill? And
When I was 15,
mm-hmm.
I was going to school and getting off of work at 2 o'clock. And come home from school and go to work and work till 11 at night. Or either during the war years, we worked on Saturday nights and we'd work till during the week now, 12, 12:30, 11:30. Just whenever we could get called up, we'd call it. And then we would, I did that until I made my grade to the 11th grade. I was 16 then. And I went 2 days in the 11th and I quit and went to work full time in the mill. And I worked until my baby was born after I got married. And so then I quit working, I didn't go back anymore. But my dad went to work in there when he was 8 years old.
Wow.
And my mama went to work in there when she was 10. And my dad worked till he retired at 65. And then he died at 66. He didn't live but a year after he retired. And I had 3 brothers, and they went to work in there when they were about 15 or 16. And all 3 of them worked in there until they all died.
Wow. So when did you remember what year was it you got started working at the mill then?
Let's see. You wasn't counted up. I can't keep up with dates, and I should have written them down, but I didn't. I started school in the 7th, so counted up 7 in the 1st, and
So what year were you born, Mom?
1927.
And how old were you when you went to work at the mill?
15.
So it would have been
Uh,
41, 42?
42.
Yeah.
1942.
I quit several times and went back. They'd call me to come back, and I'd go back and work a while. I quit, and then they'd call me to come back again. And I worked in the canteen for a while.
What year was Scotty born? That's when you quit for good.
Mhm.
What year was he
He was born in 1952.
So you were there a good decade, a full 10 years. So
Yeah.
why would you quit?
I just would get tired of doing it. And I quit. After I got married, I didn't really have to, because he worked. He had a good job. He was a postal worker.
Mm-hmm.
And if I got ready to quit, I'd quit. And I wouldn't stay way long before they'd tell me to come back to work, and I'd go back to work and work a while. And then I had things wrong with me, you get sick and different things. I had my baby. I stayed out when I had my baby. At work then. But I worked long enough.
So what all were the different jobs you had there then?
Well, I used to run a winder, they
Mhm.
called it. That's where these big cones, this big around, the yarn, went on. And there was long is this room across, all the way across this room. You had to keep going up and down those, keeping those things running, putting them on, taking them off.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I tore my hand up down there, I tore a fingernail down there.
Mm-hmm.
They put me on the weighing scales. I weighed all that heavy yarn. And then in later years, I worked out in the canteen a while.
Well, on the weigh station, was that a job that was supposed to be just for men, or whoever? They put men and women.
Where in the finishing
The
process?
weigh station. Yeah, where you weigh, because since it was so
Oh,
heavy.
it was just scales. It was like you had a desk right here and a big scale in the floor right here.
Yeah.
And you pushed that big thing of yarn onto that scale and weighed it. And then I had to take and push it off and push it down to the other part of the mill.
But since the bobbins and all were so heavy, and the carts, it was so heavy, was it, you know, some jobs, or since it was a lot of, you know, pulling in it, would have been allocated to men. But
Well,
it
the
didn't
men
matter.
did, some men, I mean, they did it some too. Men did it too. Yeah, we had men up there working too. They did that some. And then see, I had a desk up there with everybody's tags hanging on it. And I had to keep up with how much, like if you had one of those crates full of yarn and you brought it up there and I weighed it and it weighed 500 pounds, I put that on your ticket. That's how you got paid by the week.
Oh, okay.
So people were being paid by how much they
They
produced.
run.
Okay. So rather than hourly, then they
That's
would.
right. No, there was no hour work. You got paid for what you done. And then I worked on the ball machine a while too. I done just about everything up there.
So what was it like working at the canteen?
It was Nelson Jeans and myself. We worked out there. Nelson worked out there too. It was a lot of fun. I mean, everybody come in, you know, and it was just a break, really, like from working in the mill. And we were left, me and him, we were left to do it ourselves. So we got along fine out there. It was not hard work there.
How'd you get put on that job rather than something on production?
I just asked for it.
Oh, yeah.
I asked to go out there. So,
And so tell me, you said your father and mother worked in the mill, right? So and they started when they were really
my
young.
dad was 8. He got 5 cents a day. He said he had a little wire hoop, and when he'd go to work every morning, he would roll that little hoop to the mill because he was played, you know. And he'd hide it under the stairs until they'd get off of work, and then he'd get his hoop and roll it back on. And the reason we were here, we came to Rocky Mount. My dad lived in Halifax. My mom, they came from Castalia. And Mom said that my granddaddy heard that if you came, there was a mill in Rocky Mountain, you could make a lot of money. So they gave up the farm and the big 2-story house and just walked away and left it. Packed up everything they had on a mule and wagon and came to Rocky Mount. And they got number 13 Spring Street, the house we were all born in. All of us were born there. And they went to work in the mill, and my dad had to go to work in the mill when he was 8 years old. And my mom lived right across the street. They were Pittmans, and they lived right across the street from us. And I reckon I wish I'd have asked more questions when I never thought, you know, I asked how Mom and Daddy met, or did they play together as children, or I know that they got married young because I had a picture of Mama. She was 16 with, you know, the high collar all up here ruffles up and her hair done that. It got destroyed in the flood. And
they lost a whole lot of stuff in Floyd.
we lost a house, car, truck, furniture, clothes, everything.
Lots
But a
of
few
pictures.
pieces of furniture we managed to get. But anyway, they my mama had to quit work. I remember my sister kept me when I was a little girl from my mother's work, and she worked the second shift, and when she would get off work at night, and I could hardly wait for her to come home because she'd bring me a candy bar, and it was called Betty Boots. You seen anything about Betty Boots in a long time?
Never heard
Well,
of
it was a picture of her on the candy bar, and I saw a lamp not too long ago in the antique shop. Betty Boot lamp.
Oh, okay.
That was the little girl's name, and I looked for that candy bar every night. And she had to quit though because of arthritis. Her legs, everything gave out on her. She just had to quit. Doctors wouldn't let her work. But my dad worked till he was retired.
Was he a supervisor? Your daddy
Mm-mm.
was puny?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought somebody in your family was a supervisor.
No, they tried to get my daddy to take it one time, and he wouldn't do it. He didn't want it. And that Reuben did for a while.
How long
When
did
he-
Reuben work down there?
Reuben didn't work down that long. I was trying to ask him the other day if he could figure out how long he was down there, because he worked there a while after he got home from the Army. But he didn't work there long before he left and went on the train, postal service, on the train. So I really don't know, but he didn't work down there long. And he hated every minute of it.
Well, how long did Uncle Lot work down there?
I didn't know
I mean,
him.
not Uncle Lot, Uncle Percy.
I didn't know, I mean, I don't know about him, because see, he didn't work very much when Reuben and I got married. He was, you know, his legs were so bad that he didn't work there very much.
So when was it your dad would have started working at the mill? He was 8. Do you know when he was born? Let's see, and he worked till he was 65, so that's what, 50?
He died when he was 66.
So he worked there 57,
Yes.
57
I'll show you.
And what,
I'll show you a
did he, like Daddy got a $1 a year?
Just so that, push it up out of the way.
Okay.
I'm going to show you a picture.
Yeah, she got her pictures ready for you.
And what jobs did he do at the mill?
Well, for a long time, he worked in what they call the card room. That was still machinery that you put, you know, what we call bobbins.
Right.
Wooden things you put on, you know, and then you doffed them off.
Right.
Filled them up again, doffed them up again. And then they put him out in what they call the waste mill. And he almost ran the waste mill by himself. Miss Williams worked out there for a while. I knew his mom. That was one of the worst places in the whole mill to work. He'd like to kill my dad.
What was it they did there? Yeah.
Jan, was it in this book I was showing you those pictures? No, not one in this. It was in that pink.
What did in
This one?
the photo? Are these two books exactly alike, Lo?
Almost. I don't know where Kenneth Barnhill got all that stuff from.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
Here's my dad. And there goes the bird dog.
Oh, that's great. That's a good picture.
That was my dad right there.
Oh wow. And this is him getting the
Uh-huh.
getting
He
the
got a
award
watch.
for. Yeah.
I got a gold watch.
Phew.
That was me.
And so who's that? So who's that giving him the watch?
Mr. Bowell.
Is that Hyman or?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
That's Mr. Bowell.
Yeah.
All these were neighbors that lived, you know, on the mill village.
Yeah, I told her I wanted to take, she's got pictures of some
No.
people that lived on the mill village so that I can put their picture with their house.
Mm-hmm.
My brother, he was a good-looking man, but he was almost dead here. He had cancer,
Oh wow.
and this was when he was so sick. And that's Tommy Bowell giving him a reward, because he worked down there all those years too.
Right.
Her brother, this man that she just showed you the picture of, him and his wife lived at Stonewall.
Oh really?
They lived on Falls Road,
When
and
the mill
They lived in the one up on the hill.
Koi Pond,
Yeah.
the house where Koi Pond is.
Yeah, they lived there, and then the mill company asked them to move in Stonewall because they didn't want it sitting over there empty.
Huh.
And so they moved in, and they lived there for years in Stonewall. He died there.
And so, what was your brother's name?
Pittman, Elvin Pittman.
And so he was like a caretaker kind of then at Stonewall?
No, they just lived like a family.
Huh.
Just a regular family.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when she had when they lived in Stonewall, it was really so. I wish you'd seen it then.
She had
They have
like,
changed and-
lots of antiques and
Well, she bought antiques to suit the place that like should have been in it, and it had beautiful velvet curtains and window seats. And since the Historical Society took over, they took all that down, got rid of it. And when you put in new wallpaper that really didn't look good in it, but she had every room. Well, there was right much furniture left in it when they moved in it.
Oh,
But
was
then
it?
she bought a lot of big pieces and put in it. It was beautiful,
yeah.
but it don't look like that now. But they lived there
They're
until he
working
died.
hard to get it restored and to find period furniture, and it's kind of like private funds, donations to.
She had all the antique pieces that should have been in it.
Right. And so you grew up. You were born at 13 Spring Street. Is that where you grew up too?
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about what your house was like and what it was like growing up in the
Well, to
village.
start with, we didn't have 3 rooms. All of us in 3 rooms, and then finally the mill company built one more room on. Then 2 of my brothers got married, so that took care of a lot of that. And then when one of my brothers went to the army, so we got along fine. And I got married when I was 19, and so I didn't live there anymore. My one brother came home from the army. Him and my mother lived there. My dad died. And him and my mother lived there until she passed away. And then the mill company tore down all those. And so my brother had to move over on River Drive. He lived in the one right up on the hill there on River Drive until he died. So we've been there a long time.
Have you got that picture that I copied for you, printed for you of your house?
That wasn't my house. That's wrong. I think that's wrong.
Really? Because I thought you
'Cause
said that
it's,
was your bicycle.
Well, that one does look kind of like the way we live, but yeah, you had gave me one that has the oil drum at the house, and we never had anything like
Really?
that. No, we had fireplaces and.
It states it as being 13 Spring Street.
Well, it just looks different. I can't remember the shrubbery being it, but I guess it was.
Well, this picture was taken in later years.
Just look in that pink one and see
I
if
think
it's.
this is Aunt Maggie's house. Yeah, that's where Reuben's mama lived. Of course, they've restored that now.
And that's
Let's
one of the
see
ones that
that
still
one.
surround. That's still.
That's the one I was going to tell you wasn't mine. That's
Yeah, this is Aunt Maggie's.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Reuben's mama and my aunt.
Well, you know, they got the farmers market. They claim on Peachtree Street.
Right.
It ain't so. It's Spring Street.
So that used to be. So
That
that
was
was now
Spring.
Peachtree to Spring,
You
or
know
was
where Peachtree comes down this
Mhm.
way. Our house is here on this corner, and here is Spring Street.
Right.
That's Peachtree Street.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little short street through here, and it was called the Sandy Road. It didn't have a name. And us kids used to, it was sand, deep sand. And us kids used to push it all down under the stock. There was a street light down that middle way. And we'd pile up the sand down there, and at night we'd get out under the street light, and we'd run and jump in the sand. And under that big old street light hanging out in the middle of the street, that's where we played marbles at night, all of us. We got them big ring, and play marbles, and parents would be sitting on the porch, or parents would go in and go to bed, and we'd stay out and play as long as we wanted to.
Yeah, it's like I told Elijah, we just felt safe.
Yeah.
You weren't,
Yeah.
you knew that you were gonna be taken care of. Lo and Miss Smith were real good friends. Irene Smith.
Oh, yeah?
You've talked to
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
Irene Smith.
Oh, Lorraine.
Lorraine. Oh, good
Yeah.
Lord, Lorraine and I grew up on the same street, 2 or 3 houses, and slept in bed together. I used to think that I lived over here on the corner, and she lived opposite right over there. And Miss Sally and Mr. John would get rocking chairs and get in front of the fireplace in the winter time, and we kids would all sit around on the floor, and they'd tell hanger tales. Well, it wasn't the further from my house to that one right over there. That's the way it was. I was scared to death to go home. I'd run every step of the way. I felt like there was something right on the back of me getting me. But we spend the night with each other. Me and her and Lorraine would all sleep together in one bed. Yeah, Lorraine's one of the oldest friends I got living there.
Yeah. And she's in her 90s, right?
She's 90, 91, maybe 92 now, I think.
And
Yeah, I'll be 90 in August.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
She's a good girl. She always has been.
She is. Yes, right.
Very
She
sweet.
moved from Spring to Elm. That's the 2 houses she's lived in her life.
Yeah, she was a trooper when we went on that wagon and the horse-drawn wagon at Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hung in there with
I
everyone.
need to call her. She's not been to see me here but one time. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
she sits on the front porch.
Mm-hmm. She's out there most days. I didn't see her today.
Jan, here's there's I know where that.
Weren't you looking into also the June German? Weren't you
Mhm.
doing?
Yeah, I'm doing some work on the June German. Did you ever go to it?
No, but my brother did. The oldest boy.
Uh-huh.
I showed you his picture. Him and his wife, they love to dance, and they went to the June German. These were some of my boyfriends.
Okay.
Oh.
Now where's this picture?
Look, you know
Where's
who
this
that is,
picture
don't you?
made with all the girls?
You know who that is, don't you?
No.
That's Kelvin.
Oh,
He
okay.
was
Where was this taken with all the girls?
over at Levis.
oh,
You know when he had the dance hall.
Uh-huh.
That's great.
I was in here somewhere.
Yeah.
That's Margie.
That was my uncle. My daddy's brother had a dance hall.
Oh, wow.
He
There I
had
am.
dances there and all
That's
kinds
me right there.
all kinds of things. Well, gosh, what was just a dance?
It was just a regular dance club.
Oh, okay.
You had to belong to it.
And dress up.
So but that wasn't in the Mill Village. That was somewhere else.
No,
So,
no.
so what was
I'm
there?
looking at picture, and I know I saw it a while ago. I don't know where I haven't understand. That's why I want to get these things straight.
Yeah.
Which one? The one of
On my, I will have.
Uh,
I ain't gonna be around much longer. I don't get these straight so Jane can give them away.
I told her I'd help her, and I'd stand.
I got it
some of
mostly done. When the flood came, I had 10 albums, and I ain't never like to mess with pictures, but I had them and had to do something with them. So,
Mhm.
Yeah,
but they got grounded.
That's the good thing about scanning
Yeah,
them now.
Jane's Mountain being one of those.
Is it in any of
No,
those on the floor?
no, it's in. Looking up,
Oh, okay.
look over toward the back.
So did you go to the school in the Mill Village? Was that still so?
Yeah, I went from the first all the way through
And so what was it called? The school.
the Rocky Mountain Middle School. Yeah, I lived there and went to Bimini.
In fact, she's got a picture. She's got a picture of it in her den,
Huh.
on her couch. The school.
Oh,
And
wow.
I heard that they might rebuild it. Have you
Huh.
heard anything
I hadn't
about
heard
I
that.
hadn't
No.
heard that.
I have not met the guy, but he lives beside Betty Jane Ramsey, I think, young man. And Kim told me that he was wanting to try to find some plans or find somebody that could tell him the layout of the school.
When I first went over there, I was so scared. I've always been a scaredy cat going places I don't know where I'm going. And I was so scared, and at that time I didn't know where to go. You know, you don't know what they're doing in a new school.
But so you went there 1st through 8th grade then? Or
Yeah, one reason I quit, I wouldn't have quit school, but see, I have a finger missing. They got torn up. And my hand was laying on the desk, and the teacher come by and she said, it was the second day, and I want to take shorthand and typing. And she came by and she said, don't you have a finger cut off? And I said, yes, ma'am. She says, well, I can't bother with you. I don't have time to teach you to take typing. She said, you can go up to senior high. They'll teach you up there. Well, I couldn't go to senior high. I wasn't that good student. And plus the fact, see, we lived on a mill village, and we paid, if you went to senior high, you paid city taxes. And we didn't, you know, to go to Birmingham. And I didn't want to go up there anyway, because I didn't know anybody up there. Well, I knew some people, but I didn't want to, they weren't friends.
right.
So I got up and I left school, and I went home. And I told Mom, I said, I'm not ever going back. And boy, she embarrassed me to death. And I'm not going back. And my mother cried and cried, but I wouldn't go back. You ain't found it?
Not the house. You talking about the house
Mm-hmm.
on Spring Street?
Well, it looks just like that one I was going to hide up off the ground.
Do you
It's
remember?
in there though somewhere.
Do you remember when they tore the houses down, or that was after you moved out? A long time after, I guess.
Yeah, I've been gone a long time. My brother lived there alone after my mother died. He lived there a long time by himself. And then when do you know what year they tore those houses down?
Yeah, John told me it was in the 70s.
Yeah, it's 70.
Yeah.
5,
4,
72.
5,
2 is the thing I was initially thinking of.
Yeah, it was after 72.
Well, when they tore them down, they moved him over on River Drive.
Yeah, where they moved Mom and Daddy.
Over there too.
Well, they didn't tear all of them down. They sold some to a man.
Yeah, they carried some
and
away.
took some to Enfield. I think this man lived in Enfield.
But there were just like 2 rooms across and 2, you know, just a square like.
Right. And so how many brothers and sisters did you have living in the house?
At one time there was 3 brothers and 1 sister, myself and Mom and Dad. You didn't have, back long then you didn't have living rooms and dens. You had 3 bedrooms and a kitchen. I mean, 3 bedrooms. You had 2 beds in every room and a kitchen.
Right. And there were privy still, outhouse still, or did they have indoor plumbing?
We had indoor plumbing.
Yeah. I don't remember when they put that in,
But a long time ago, we didn't have any hot water. You had to eat your water to take a bath.
Yeah, we didn't have we didn't have a water heater until all of us left home.
You had to heat your water and carry it to the bathtub and dump it in there to take a bath.
yeah.
Didn't you tell me that you remember them adding the bathrooms on the back?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
But, no, I remember them adding, they added a room on our house. And I remember them extending the back porches, making bigger back porch. We had a back porch big enough that where my sister got married after a long time, her and her husband came there, and they made a room in that back porch, you know. It was big enough that they stayed there until some of my brothers moved out.
So why did they add on to the house? Just because of the family?
Because the family, I guess, my dad asked them, I don't know, and there were so many of us, they just added on to it.
So what we talked a little bit about your dad, but what work did he do when he was at the mill that you remember?
All I can remember is what they call dolphin, which, you know, and I don't know what he did out there in the waste mill. It was long frames, I know, and I've seen him out there working, bent over, you know, doing that, but I don't know exactly what they called out there.
But so, what, do you know what the waste mill did, or?
Yeah, they run all the waste yarn.
Mm.
What was the waste yarn? They sent it out there and they ran it over and over. Just like what I ran, if one broke down, you had a thing you wore on your hand, and you cut it and it would tie a knot in it and go back, start it back up running again. It's so hard to describe.
Right.
You have to see it to really know what you're talking about.
So did the yarn that went out of the waste mill, did it go out as substandard? Or
Yeah, after it was rerun, it was okay. You just had to get it back, where it was broke and get it going again.
And so, what was it you were making? Do you remember?
We made all the, like during the war, this yarn went to make uniforms and different things like that. And it was baled up out there, big, where the big house is that was the railroad track, remember?
Across the road from the mill.
It was baled up out there cotton, and it went across on the chute across the road up there, and went in there, and then it wound up being yarn.
So, what was it like working there during the war?
Excuse me
Sure.
a minute.
That's fine. I'll just edit it out later.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's the good thing about being
Yeah, I usually let somebody else do that. It's not my forte, but
Yeah, I'd like to see some of the pictures. I mean, I've seen some, but I'd like to see pictures of the different equipment. I've seen the looms and everything, but like each process.
I know. Well, we've gotten a few new ones, and then one of the things we're trying to get digitized now. I don't know what we'll do with them. Are they're blueprints of every they're kind of blueprints, but they're also plans like for every floor, so it says where all the machinery was placed and all that kind of thing, because you can kind of see how it was laid out, and then we can show the pictures of what the machines look like and everything.
Gosh, I'd like to see it. I would love to get some old blueprints. I think they are so neat.
I do too.
Where you getting those from?
So UNC has some of those in the Rocky Mountain Mills collection, and then the mill still has. I mean, John put them there, I guess, but they still got at the mill a bunch of old blueprints. They're not original from when the mill was built or anything, but they're like expansions from the 20s on through basically, and they're in pretty good shape. So we got to figure out something to. Hopefully they'll put those up probably at UNC, because it's just hard, I think, for Braswell to keep all that kind of stuff. But they've got some neat stuff. One of the things I hope we're getting digitized is that it looks like a Sanborn map, but it's not. It's some other fire insurance company that shows the whole mill and the village and everything, and it's big, like a big Sanborn sheet.
Where you get crazy?
That's at UNC too. Yeah, we just got a bunch of stuff from them that they're going to digitize. So.
I'll bring it in here.
Yeah, I would love to see a lot of that stuff. In fact, I got online and saw where DJ Rose, when they did years ago, when they did a lot of the expansion, they sent all their plans and everything up to UNC.
Yeah, they're at State. Yeah, I went over
they're
and
at
looked
State.
at them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's a bunch. The stuff they've got at the mill now, I think a lot of it's duplicates of what DJ Rose sent down there. But I think the stuff at the mill's in better shape.
Oh, okay.
I went over and looked at it at State 2 or 3 months ago, and maybe I didn't see all of it because I don't think it was all there yet. But a lot of it wasn't in great shape. But it was really neat. I mean, the thing they got the most of
I
is
had to burn
actually.
it now while y'all hot.
Yeah, it's gotten hot.
I have to keep it
Feels
hot.
good.
I have to keep it hot on account of him.
Yeah.
He freezes.
How old is he? 93 or 94?
He's 93 before
94
March.
in
Oh
March.
wow.
And he freezes all the time. He's got to go tomorrow and get another shot of blood. He's just so cold. He just freezes all the time. And I sit and just burn up.
Well, hopefully it'll warm up again. Maybe it'll stay like.
He keeps saying I'll be glad to see hot weather. When it was 80 degrees, he was still the same way. It was freezing.
My daddy was like that. He wore a jacket. Of course, he was skin and bone too, but he wore a jacket all the time. All the time. It's cold, man.
All right.
Well, so we were talking about what it was like working at the mill in the war.
Oh, well, it was long hours. I mean, it wasn't any harder then than it was any other time, but you just had to work extra hours, work over at night. And we had a lot of fun. We were all young people, and we'd get off from work and go down to what they called the hot dog stand. He would keep it open for us. And if one of us had a car, everybody would pile in that car and we'd go somewhere. We worked hard, but we enjoyed it too. They shipped a lot of stuff away from down there for the Army, material for uniforms and all that kind of stuff. But the work was the same.
Was it mostly women working there, or were there still lots of men during the war too?
Yeah, well, we had a lot of older men. But it was a lot of young people, especially in the department I worked in. Second shift, it was all young people.
And was that the case after the war too? Was it mostly still young folks working there? Or?
No, a lot of them drifted away, went away. A lot of them boys went in the Army, and a lot of them went different places. Some stayed on till the mill, the mill changed over and it wound up mostly all black people. And by then all of the older people and everybody was retired and gone, and so they had to hire black people. Somebody had to run it, and it didn't keep it running long after that. Not many years.
Did you ever work down there when I remember Daddy talking about them going on a short time,
Mm-mm.
and they was stretching people to pay bills.
No, I didn't work
You
then.
never did that.
Yeah, that's when all the old ones were out and all the young were gone. And
So-
they were hiring mostly black, and they kept cutting the time down.
But I mean, when I remember when we were when I was growing up, the mill would go on short time,
Mm-hmm.
and
Well, back a long time ago when we were children, I remember at Thanksgiving or Christmas, it was Christmas, and the mill, they closed down for a while. Didn't they? And the mill company were giving away turkeys. Don't you remember that? You could go down there at Christmas and they'd give you a turkey. Because the mill closed down for about several weeks,
Oh wow.
And I've known them to do that 2 times, close up for twice like that.
And so you'd get a turkey, but people wouldn't be paid then for how long?
Well, you get your last week's work pay, and you didn't get no more, and you went back to work.
and like with Daddy, do you remember when your daddy retired? Daddy only got $1 a year retirement.
My dad didn't. My mom got. My dad, I think, got about. It was him and Mama one didn't get but 60.
Yeah, it was $1.
60-cent retirement.
60-cent retirement.
I think that was Mama.
Yeah.
And I think they said that she draw that because of my daddy. And my daddy didn't get nothing either. And when my hand got tore up down there,
Yeah,
I didn't get 1 penny, and they called me to come out to the office to
Did you
sign the
file
paper.
for it? Anything?
Well, see, I was just 6, I was about 16 then, or 17, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't know what I was signing. I thought I was signing up to get some money.
Compensation.
Compensation. And so I didn't even read the paper, and I signed it, and then signed away all my rights. I got no insurance, no nothing. My dad had to pay all the hospital bill and everything. Mr. Lockridge was there then.
And so you said that you think they started hiring black people mostly because the sons and daughters and that kind of thing. They didn't want to work there. Is that why? Or?
Right, they all moved away. All our children left. My son, he never had to work there or anything. You want to come in?
Yeah, I think the generations,
Change.
like my generation, he needs.
You want to come in?
Huh?
Want to come in and sit down with us?
Yeah.
Well, come on.
Find out what's going on.
Is he gonna be all right over here?
Yeah,
I can move it. It's easy.
Jane, put those in there.
You want to sit? You want to sit here?
No, he'll be all right. Move that out of the way, move that from in front of there.
Okay.
Go over there and get that. Wait a minute.
Huh?
Sit down here. Sit down right here. Leave that out of there.
Got it. Do you want him to take a picture of you
For what?
to put on the interview?
As if he wants to. It's up to him.
Here, I'll get you both in.
Reuben, did you ever go to the middle school? Did you,
Huh?
did you
Yeah.
go to the middle school too?
Yeah, I went to the middle school. Lord, yes.
Did you finish down there?
Huh?
You finished down there. You went through the 7th grade down the 6th grade, the 7th.
The 7th.
7th.
Went to the 7th.
Then where'd you go, Bimini?
Yeah. Went there for a little while and then I
You went to work in the mill when? You remember how old you were, about 16?
Well, my daddy went to work. We lived, just start from this big kid. We lived in the country.
Well, don't tell all that.
And
How old
we
were
moved to Rocky Mount and daddy went to work in the mill.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't go because I was only 17 years old and you had to be 18. And as soon as daddy got signed up, he run my age up to 18 and got me in.
Well, I don't understand why you had to be 18, because when I went to work in there, I wasn't but 15.
I was 18.
Of course,
you
now
talking
I
about-
had to go downtown, and the police station was on South Main Street at that time. You remember when it was over by the railroad track? Well,
I
it
remember
was.
what my daddy said when we were farmers. And when they got the fall, but that daddy didn't get nothing hardly. Just hardly get enough to buy groceries. And he come in, told Mama. He said, start putting everything together. He said, I'll be back tomorrow and we'll carry it off. We're gonna move. He says, I'm not gonna work out there and get nothing for it. And there he didn't get away from that place, and he went down to Rocky Mount Mills. But the funny thing about the Rocky Mount Mills, Mr. What was his name?
Mr. Knight,
Huh?
Mr. Will Knight.
Yeah, Mr. Will Knight was the superintendent. Daddy knew him. They all raised together, you know. When he went in there to get the job, Mr. Knight said, Percy, he said, don't you see all of them signs out there when no one wanted? And Daddy told him, he said, well, Mr. Knight says, you know me. He says, and you know, I know that all that stuff out there is for people that don't want to work. He says, I want a damn job. And so he gave him a job right then. He went and worked that night.
Well, see, you said that you couldn't go to work till you were 18. Well, I went to work when I was 15, but
Yeah.
I had to go to the police station.
Huh.
That's where we had to go.
Well, I
then,
didn't do
Joyce
that.
Davis
Like a worker's permit.
and
type thing.
and Betty Phillips carried me over there because they were already had gone to work. They were young like I were. They went on to finish school and I didn't. Anyway, they took me up there and I had to get a permit that I could go to work. But now, when Albert and Irvin and Irvin went to work, they didn't have no permits or nothing. They just went to work.
Yeah.
So-
do you by any chance know when they started the workers' permits?
Don't actually.
That would be interesting to find out when they started requiring people to have, if you went to work at 15.
Yeah.
Well, when I went, when the first, they gave me the job that they had to, all but the beginners started with my sweeping the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do it long before Daddy, they kicked him up.
Your daddy was a supervisor one.
Yeah, and
That's who it was.
he, in a few minutes, it didn't, few hours or weeks it didn't take for me to be on a regular. And your daddy, he was down there and I was working, you know. He come up there, he didn't have no idea go to work. He said, "What in the heck are you doing?" I said, "I'm working." He said, "Get out of here."
Our son, when he was in high school, they would hire boys like him to come down on Saturday and sweep the mill. Just sweep it.
Well, you know, I found out something the last tour I went through the mill.
Mhm.
You know, the beams in that one room, the little, right there close to the floor, there were little indentions. And I've always wondered what they were, and Mr. Mevin said it was like where the carts would roll
Yeah.
and hit up against the beams, and over the years had hollowed it out.
I
I
would
would love to see in it now. I
I would
haven't
love
seen it
to
since
know
I quit
how
work.
many
And they tore down the
pieces of
department
metal
that I
is
worked
laying
in.
in that
Finishing.
hole
They
that
tore
I
that
worked.
building down.
Used to go down.
And I think they tore down the canteen
I think that's right. Yeah.
out front.
Yeah.
The canteen
Yeah.
and the office. See, the office was right out front too then. It was here and the canteen was kind of behind it. They tore all that out.
Yeah, the canteen's still there.
It is.
Yeah.
That was
What to do with
that job was. I was young when I got it, but they put me in Dolphin, and
Show
you
him
had the
how you
little
doffed.
cart, huh?
Show him how you doffed.
All right.
Now these are big spools of yarn.
Pull my tail.
No, you don't want that in front of you. He's making your picture.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
You would
Sit
get
down.
up and
I got you.
you
Don't worry.
think that you're putting the yarn in now was like this,
Mm-hmm.
and you went along beside it like this, pulling its yarn off
Your
the
boxes.
the balls and putting them in there, and then you get it filled up and you send it down over where they were working, where the ladies were working,
Upstairs.
and then you take another one and here you go again.
Move it in front.
And it was it was tiresome work, but it was making a living.
Mm-hmm.
We got him. And when did you go into the service? How old were you?
When
How old were you when you went into the military?
I was real young when I went into the service. I was in that first draft out of Rocky Mount. And
You don't remember the date?
huh?
You don't remember the date?
I don't remember the
I don't even, I can't remember the
Yeah,
date.
well, how old he was. If he was 18 when he went to work at the mill, how
Yeah.
old was he when?
I don't believe he was 18.
Yeah, I
I
was
think
wondering.
But so you were drafted into the service and during the World War, or?
For World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Just your daddy, when he first saw me, he was working in the mill. He said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "You ain't old enough to work." I said, "I might be not old enough." I said, "But they sure got me in here doing it."
Reuben, I don't believe you were 18 because you went in the Army.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
1940.
No, I didn't. I was 17 years old.
See.
And wait a minute now. When Daddy went to work in the mill, and but he couldn't. I
Well,
couldn't.
let me listen.
I went in there when I was 18.
Well, how old were you when you went to the Army? You can't remember?
No, it was the first.
You
Well,
went in the Army in 40 something, it was in the 40s when you went in the
it
Army.
was. I think it was
World
the
War
early
II.
part of the 40s. The real early part, just turned, and
can't remember that.
That's
It's
all
a
right.
long time ago.
Yeah, that's all right.
I was working in the mill, Dolphin, and they had brought a thing down there for
Well, your parents assigned for you to go in service.
yeah, for you could go in
Right.
service, and I
You
flew out
joined the
there.
army when you were about 20?
I was a little younger than that.
Well, then you didn't work in the mill but a little while then, because if you didn't
No,
go,
I didn't work long in the
I know
mill.
you didn't. If you were 18 then, you went in the army.
I didn't work very long.
But if you were 19, you didn't work in the mill. I know you didn't work in the mill but a little while.
Yeah, I went on into the army.
Then you went back to work in the mill when you came home from the army. And you didn't work long down there then.
I was working in the. they
You
had-
worked about 5 years after you came home from the army, didn't you? Or longer.
No, I didn't
in the
work that
mill.
long. Because I went, as soon as I got out of the army, I went as a postal clerk for a long
I know you
time.
did. That's why I'm talking about. You didn't work
Yeah.
in the mill
You
long
know,
when you came
I
home
would,
from
I
the
would have
army.
worked as a postal clerk going from Rocky Mount to Washington,
Okay,
D.C.
well, he don't want to talk about that. He wants to talk about the mill.
So, but you moved. So you said your family moved when you were 17, and why did they move down to Rocky Mount? And where did you move from?
For what?
When you moved to Rocky Mount when you were 17, where did your family move from?
From
Wilson.
from out in the country, out close to
Wilson.
close. Well, it was closer to Wilson than it was Rocky Mount.
Between Rocky Mountain.
My daddy, he farmed that year, and when they got ready to get the money, he didn't have a handful that lasted for the next year. He come in and told my mother, he said, start packing his clothes. He said, I'll be back in you tomorrow, and we're going to get out of this. And that's when he went to the mill.
Reuben, I was thinking that you said y'all lived in Roanoke Rapids.
Huh?
I was thinking you said y'all lived in Roanoke
They
Rapids.
lived everywhere, I think.
For a little
farming.
while.
Yeah, we were there, I think. I don't think we were there all a week.
But isn't that when your daddy went to the mill?
And then he left there, went down to Rocky Mountain Mill.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did your daddy work in the mill when he was young? When Grandma and them moved
he'd
here?
worked in there before.
And then they
Yeah.
went to work.
When he went down there, Mr. Knight was the foreman.
You remember him, Mr. Will Knight?
Well, was there?
Lived on Ridge Street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Must
vaguely.
Miss Rebecca Knight was my school teacher.
Daddy told me this a lot. He said when he left the farm there and went down there, he went into where the superintendent was at the mill, and Mr. Knight's who it was, and they called it. He called him Percy, and did called him Will, and but when he got in there, Mr. Knight said, Percy, he said, I want a job. He said, look at them signs out there in that yard with no help wanted. Daddy said, Will said, that's for people that don't want to work. He said, damn it, I want a job.
So
And they gave him
he
one.
hired him.
And so, did you say he had worked there before when he was younger?
Oh yeah, he worked there before.
So he worked in the mill when he was younger. And
Yeah,
then went
right.
back farming, and
Yeah.
then came back to the mill.
Yeah.
Huh.
He didn't work long as just like I did, you know.
Right.
They made him a kind of a.
I don't know.
He wanted head to he had a group that he had to work.
See, that's what I was wondering, because when Grandmama and Granddaddy moved down here, and they all went to work at the mill,
Yeah, they all-
I would think all the boys
Yeah.
went to work. Young, you
Oh,
know,
and he
being
must have
younger.
quit when was going to farm and couldn't make it.
Tell you something kind of funny
Well,
about.
look, now don't talk too much. He's got questions he wants to ask.
Tell you this. His or her daddy, my daddy were brothers, And there was a big family, and I was up there one day, and her daddy and my aunt, they didn't have a car or nothing. They had to have one. So they went up there and were going to look around and see where the cars was. And their brother was sitting in there, and he said, now that's the damn ugly,
You quit
craziest thing that I have ever in my life seen. He said, they're going up there to buy a car. Can't neither one of them drive a car. And then he sat there a few minutes, scratched his head. He said, but you know something? He said, I'm crazier than they are. He said, I let them have the money and they ain't either one of them working. They were tough days. I know I went up to my grandmother's one time. You're like this one.
Reuben,
Huh?
the boy wants to. He wants
No,
to
I
ask
know.
questions about the meal. He don't want to hear about all these tales at home.
It's fine. Go ahead. I think we're about done talking about the meal. Go ahead.
But I was up at my grandma's and I went in and my uncle, he had a lot of dogs. And I went up there that evening and some of the best looking food out there on that table. I got there and I started eating it. He got me a spoon and started eating in it. And you're eating about all of it, and went long for my other uncle came to the you know where I was, and he hollered out back there. He said, Rudolph. He said, Madame Pete said you're going to eat all the dog food.
Yeah, that was some good times.
A lot of things go through your mind. And
We used to work when we'd have to work on Saturday night, work overtime. We'd go down at that end of the mill, and over in Ballard Park would be loaded with cars. Right over there courting, you know.
yeah.
You get so irritated, and we were down there working at 10 and 11 and 12 o'clock at night, and everybody else out having a good time.
Well, what, as far as like the school, what do you really remember about school? I mean, did y'all have good teachers? Or
Miss
was it
Rebecca
pretty-
Knight
was it
was my
pretty
first
hard?
grade teacher, and Miss Eagles was my second grade teacher. Yeah, we had good teachers. Miss Broom taught the
Miss
fourth
Knight.
and fifth, and when I was learning, Miss James taught the sixth and seventh, and Miss
Miss Bruin.
Miss Broom taught the third and fourth.
Yeah,
I
third
mean,
and fourth.
yeah, Miss Thing taught the first and second, Miss Eve was the second. And that the one round on the back, what was her name? Miss
Who?
Hilliard.
Yeah, Miss
And Inez used to argue with me that the girls' bathroom was on the first, you know where the first grade was? On the end. You didn't go there? You didn't go to school down there?
It wasn't. I went to Wilkinson. It had
Well,
already.
the girls' restroom was underneath Miss Hilliard's room. And you had to go down and step down in the basement light. Me and her argued over that thing. But see, she won a different time from what I did.
Yeah. Well, if you had to draw a map of it, could you?
I
if
sure could.
somebody could
I
draw
sure
the
could.
layout.
The boiler room was under the first grade.
Yeah, like that.
We went upstairs to the first
the men
grade.
would run up there and look what the way they went up to go to their class.
The first grade was up here.
Oh, so it had two. Did it have 2 stories? Well,
Well,
it had a base.
It wasn't exactly like 2-story, but it was steps up.
Who?
It's first grade, and all that was the boiler room.
Yeah.
Then right over here on the side was the 3rd and 4th grade.
Yeah.
Down here on the end was the 6th and 7th grade. Right here on the back was Miss Hilliard. And underneath her room was the girls' restroom. Now, I don't know where the boys' restroom was. I think the boys was around there close to the front part of the building.
Well, we'll have to sit down and
It
draw
was-
out a
yeah.
little map and.
So now that you're sitting back thinking about it, it was really enjoying it, but we didn't really know that we did enjoying it.
Oh, yeah. And y'all have not.
Other kids in the other uptown and having a good time, and we were down there rocking out meals.
Yeah.
Best years of my life.
Yeah. Y'all haven't come across, I mean, of course, I'm sure you haven't, but do you think there's any kind of plans or anything for that school?
I doubt it. There's a few pictures, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
Well, it was one of the best places I have ever lived to live, and Jan will tell you the same thing. That whole mill village, and it makes me mad to hear anybody call it the Mill Hill. It was a mill village, and everybody loved everybody. Everybody stuck together. Anything happened, everybody was there for each other.
Sure
And
would.
we
They stuck together. They don't question
Freedom
about
to
it.
play and enjoy. It was a good place to live. It really was. And the mill work was hard, but it didn't kill us.
Well, and I think Mr. Battle looked after the people.
He did.
He did.
He was
He
a
was.
wonderful
He
man.
really.
Mr.
You,
Hamilton was a
you
wonderful
needed
man.
money, he let you have it, and then they could take it out on your check when you.
I've never lived anywhere, and I've lived in a lot of places since I got married. And I lived on that corner of Spring Street for 19 years, and then we moved on Elm Street because we moved in the house with his mother for a while. But I would love to have one of those houses now. I would.
I'll have to take you down there one day and take you through and see some of the houses. Have you heard anything, John, the guy that, that renovated some of the houses on Carr Street, said that he had seen a site plan.
They make some pretty houses down there, I'll tell you that.
And that they were gonna build some houses, what we used to call in the pines, behind the houses on Carr Street. But
I think they probably will, yeah. I mean, they've about built, because they've built however many new ones in there now in the Mill Village.
so now
Where
they're
ones have
gonna
been torn down and stuff. I think they will probably, because they keep. It seems like as soon as I've seen them, I've seen the plans, but I can't remember exactly. But they, as soon as they build one, or as soon as they renovate one, it gets
I
rented.
know.
Well, we used to play all over there.
Yeah.
Up where the house was up in the pines, we used to go walk in the woods all over there, and lots of big rock quarry over there. And it was clay and rock, and down one place over there, you could go and you would slide. It was just like a slide board. It was so slick. And the kids used to go over there and slide down.
The first house-
and got killed. It got a great big jagged rocks, all that, but everything that we'd go over there and go down that, slide down that place, and
When-
play in there, and then the old Dead Man's Rock was over
Well,
there. That's where we went
when
swimming
we,
in the
we
river.
first got married, we moved in one of those houses.
Did you
And,
move in with Aunt Maggie?
Huh?
Did y'all move in with Aunt Maggie?
We stayed with her.
No, we moved in, we had us a house by ourselves.
We got a house by
And-
ourselves later.
And one night a storm came up and it just flooded everything. We weren't that far from the river to begin with, but she was walking around in there, me and her don't know where to go.
Oh, that was
But a
Floyd.
boat finally came by and picked
That
me
was
and
when
her
the flood
up,
was.
carried us out of it.
That was when the flood was. So we did that one on the mill
Hurricane
village.
Floyd, yeah. Do you know if they filled in that old quarry?
No, they filled in some of it, but I don't think they ever really filled it in.
Cause me and
Because
my
They
brother-
didn't build one, we
We
was
used
in.
to take trash up there, yard trash, like the leaves and all, and carry it up there and dump it up there in the hole, big old hole. But we used to play all over in there, and down on the river drive, you go down to Flat Rock and go swimming.
Yeah, has anybody talked to you about going swimming down at the Flat Rock? Oh
No.
gosh, that was where,
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
where
a
everybody, and the
swimming
elephant
hole.
hole. How about the elephant
It was a
hole?
huge rock, a huge rock, big as this house almost. And it went
Out in
down
the
in the
river.
water into the river. And it was called Flat Rock, and that's where everybody went swimming.
That's great. Do people still swim there?
No.
No.
No more.
That thing was
I
loaded
didn't have
every,
a snake
every,
out.
in the summertime. It was loaded all the
Yeah.
time with people going swimming down there.
Well,
That rock won't no farther loaded from here to that door where you,
But it
you
was in
swim
the
a
water.
little bit.
The rock went out into
You'd
the
be
water
right on that
and
rock.
stayed out
You
in
could
the
stand out on the rock.
yeah, that's when most of, you talk to like my oldest brother and that age group
Yeah.
were mostly,
They'd get up in the
Went swimming
trees
down
and
there.
swing all over it.
yeah.
And that boy's picture I showed you in there a while ago, at the end of Spring Street where I live. And I won't tell you about Spring Street. At the end of the street there was woods, about long when I was a child. And Kelvin Creech, he was, there was big tall pine trees, and they had these big grapevines, you know how they get like a rope.
Mm-hmm.
They were full of those. And he would go down there and get on one of them things. He'd climb up a tree and get one of those big ropes, and he'd swing from tree to tree, and you could hear him all over the mill ridge and hollering like Tarzan.
I didn't know I could swing on it. I was scared to try.
His picture's in there.
Yeah.
Okay. And but well, they have the farmers market now. Well, like I told you, that was Spring Street long then. It was not Peachtree Street.
Right.
Peachtree Street cut off on the other side of the street.
Right.
In later years, while I was still living there, they named the other little part Peachtree Street. But now they claim that farmers markets is on Peachtree Street, and it is not. It is on Spring
No,
Street.
that's
But
not.
I guess it's because Peachtree, you turn off of Peachtree to go into,
Spring, but it's still Spring. It's Spring Street. It's on Spring Street because we lived on the corner.
Well, I'm going to leave y'all. I'm ready. Give me my legs.
take your time.
Thanks for talking to
Nice
me.
meeting with you.
Good to meet you. Well,
We lived on the corner, Jan,
Yeah.
and then that started us with the Boswells, Ellen and the Boswell family, then Carson Taylor's family, and then there was a house on the end. There was 4 houses here.
Yeah.
And they've got this market down here where these 4 houses are. And it's on Spring Street. Spring Street ran all the way to the end down there, and went in there. Later years, they made the curve cut round like that.
Went to Mill. Spring ran around and went
Spring
to Mill
Street,
Street.
not anymore. It
But I mean, it did.
did.
Yeah, before they
It
put
used
the
to.
farmers market.
It stopped at the end. There was 4 houses on this side, and starting on that side lived the Baines. I can tell you everybody lived in every house over there. I can lay down and close my eyes and tell you everybody lived in every house on every street over there. I can,
yeah. I believe it.
'cause I used to play all over that place, and by my bicycle, I'd get my bicycle and I rode every street over there, everywhere.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So-
Not, pardon me, I know you're bored.
No, I'm not bored. Ooh. Well, is there any last thing you want to say about working in the mill or living in the village?
No, if I had my life to go over, I guess I would do the same thing. I enjoyed living over there, I always did.
What are you finding that everybody you interview, are you finding that everybody is basically saying one same thing?
No, and it
Like
differs.
being safe or being, an attitude about it or anything?
I mean, a lot of people who live in the village said that, yeah. But a lot of people we interviewed were folks that worked there after 65 and that kind of thing who couldn't live in the village. And so they remember working there and really liking working there, and saying it was a kind of good place to work and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it was hard work, but it was It was good too. I mean, you know, any way you work can be hard.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the attitude of all the people and everything that was what was so special about it to me.
That is one thing we hear over and over from pretty much everybody.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's like whole families work there, you know, like with my daddy's family, and I mean, most people that lived there on the mill village, it was their mother and daddy and then the children. That was where you worked,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
See, when my grandmama and granddaddy died, my mom and daddy lived in the house with them when they first got married. And when they died, they just kept living there. And then as we all got married, my mom and dad both lived there till they died. And then my sister died there, and my brother, one of my brothers, he was living there, and they moved him,
Mm-hmm.
and he died on River Drive. But I mean, our whole lives were spent there, probably.
And so your family must have started working there, what, in the early 20th century? Or like early 1900s or something, probably?
I don't know, I can't remember, I don't know about the dates, but I don't know what years that my granddad and them came to Rocky Mount.
So they came from Halifax, you said,
Uh-huh.
right? So
My
they,
dad's family and my
Right.
mama's family came to Castella.
and both of them, it was, your parents came when they were really young, right?
Mhm. Yeah, 'cause he had to be young, good working in
Right.
there, 8 years old.
Mhm. See, they probably would have been. So in the 1880s is when families started, when they started really building the mill village, and families started moving in. So
I know,
your family would have been probably among that first generation of.
I know
of
my
people.
mama said that there was a spring on River Drive down at the river somewhere. Was a spring back long then, and they would walk all the way over there to tote water back. And then there was one in about the second house on Spring Street where we lived back long then was the spring.
Oh, really?
And
Maybe
Mama
that's
said
where
they would
Spring
get water.
Street, where it got its name.
Would get water from there, and it, you know, the name of that street to start with was Cedar Street,
Hmm.
and then it was changed to Spring Street in later years, but that was before I was born.
Well, see, that's like, I think Spring Street used to run out all the way to Bob Melton's, and they changed the name of it. And Mama's sister, the house that she lived in, Aunt Ethel, I was looking up some information on it, and my brother and I rode by there one day, and he pointed it, and he said that Melton Drive, I think it's Melton Drive,
Mhm.
and he said that's where Aunt Ethel used to live, and I said, I don't think so. She lived on Spring Street. And he said, well, that's the house she used to live in.
I
And
never
my
known that to be
cousins-
Spring Street.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't ever know that.
Yeah, and so I went up to the city, to the mapping department, and they told me not so many years ago, they changed that part Melton Drive.
Well, how did it go around by the stores?
Somehow or another, I want to sit down.
'Cause you see, Ridge Street runs all the way down.
You know the little two houses that are right there at the church? Well, this road kept going through.
If you're on Ridge Street, if you're on Falls Road, and you turn left and
Right.
go down, that used to be Ridge Street
Yeah.
as long as I can remember.
Yeah, and you turn on Columbia Avenue,
The
turn
back
left.
part.
Uh-huh.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about because I'm Uncle Murray around there. And you could go down by the church there, you know, there's two houses.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Mr. Nick Joyner and them lived in the first one, and Mr. Knight lived in the next one. Mr. Knight. Effie Knight, not Effie Knight's daddy, the other one. There was a big old garage right there, like his house was in, there was a big garage right here. And there was a path between there that we could go to Uncle Murray's, and Uncle Murray's, the street went up and down this way.
Yeah,
Yeah, now I know what you're talking about, because Uncle Murray lived right back there.
yeah. That's where Aunt Ethel and them lived on the corner.
Uncle Murray didn't work the mill, but he lived over there.
Well, see, that's one thing I wanted to find out too. At that time, did the mill own that house? Because it seemed like the house
Yeah.
is just sitting
Well,
on the
Uncle Murray
corner.
owned his house.
But Aunt Ethel didn't own her
Uncle
house.
Murray owned his, and it was,
Nice
the
talking
mill
to you.
didn't
It's good
own,
talking to you.
Yeah, but
didn't own it
don't
that I know of.
Yeah, I don't know if the mill owned that's something that I wanted to
Mhm.
look up too.
And it went right on around to Bob Malcolm's. We rode through there not long ago, me and Carol, all of it, and I didn't know they had made a park in there,
Yeah, to play soccer.
because I hadn't been over in there in years.
Yeah, and I also found out, Mr. Mevin told me too, that, you know, the part that I lived on was the end of Elm Street.
Mhm.
It's dirt. And so I asked Mr. Mevin the other day, and he said that actually the city made that choice not to pave it because at that time they were paving just the streets that were more heavily traveled.
Yeah.
And I guess, you
But
know,
it won't pay.
that would just go around to
Yeah.
the warehouses
Yeah.
and that area over there. So I guess they just deemed that little strip, it wasn't worth.
Well, you know,
paving.
it won't pay when we lived down there.
Yeah.
We lived with his mother down, his mother
Yeah.
lived down there, and we lived with her when we first got married.
Yeah.
It wasn't paved
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, so he said, you know, it was just a decision that the city didn't feel like it was, you know, and it was, you know, not really traveled that much because people would come down Elm and go up car to
Right.
get to River Drive and go back out that area.
Old River Drive over there used to be clay, two big hill banks of clay on both sides. It was like the road was almost closed in with clay hills.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut this thing off.
Do you have any more questions?